back in Tucson, Arizona for the R48 Pro season number 2. My name is Dave Vincent. This is the men's quarterfinals and the last one of the night, as either Luis Moreno or Alan Garner will face Emmett Peixote tomorrow in the semifinals at 11 a.m. And then Dave Fink, my broadcast partner for this match, up against Sean Lenning at 12 o'clock times Mountain. This here, though, is a huge rivalry and possibly one of the biggest in handball, as Luis Moreno goes up against Alan Garner. Alan Garner playing Luis in the round of 8. Dave, can you explain that?
Well, we've done a blind draw for the 5 through 8 players, which means number 5 can go into the number 5, 6, 7, or 8 spot. Alan Garner, the number 5 ranked player here, the 5th highest ranked player, but he drew the number 8 spot in the draw, which means he's playing Luis Moreno in the quarterfinals. Now, this is a matchup we expect to see in the semifinals or finals. Here they are playing on a Friday.
I don't know if that's exactly what
match between Luis Moreno and Alan Garner.
The tournament organizers were doing when they came up with that random format, but that random draw format, but that's exactly what happened here. And both players made comments about their draw, and how could you not?
Check ball, please.
Well, you have to understand, Dave, that Alan Garner is the number 7 ranked player right now. Actually, the number, I believe, 8 ranked player. So if all the top 8 were here, this is who he'd be playing in the quarterfinals. Nadi Alvarado ranked ahead of him, so is Paul Brady.
0 play 0.
We're at 0-0. It's a one-game match to 25. You have to win by 2.
But Dave, I can understand the players maybe being upset, but
well,
as a fan and an announcer, how can you be upset?
I'm not upset. I love seeing it. I love seeing this matchup every time it's ever happened. And
1 play 0.
Why wait until Saturday to see it? Let's do it on Friday. I'm ready to watch it now. Now, I'm sure by all means that the players don't like it, but.
Well, you know, the New York Giants, they played the Green Bay Packers last year in the divisional game, knocked the Packers out. The Packers were 15-1, almost went undefeated, and then the Giants went on to win the Super Bowl. That was the quarterfinals. Probably the 2 best teams in the league. And Dave, that's why Alan Garner has said that he loves to play Luis Moreno so much, because, yeah, he's got a lot of power, but most of the shots come off the back wall, and I'm great off the back wall. I believe Alan Garner is the best back wall artist in the game right now. You'd have to put him in the discussion, Dave, maybe of the last 20 years as being in the top 5 back wall kill artists with both hands. I know, Dave, that you mentioned
2 play 0.
Dave Chapman, maybe Tony Healy. But Alan Garner has to be in that discussion.
Vince Munoz and Toddy Severa are my 2 top.
Okay.
Second serve.
Ahead of Chapman.
Vince Munoz, Toddy Severa are my top. Chapman's also my top 5.
Wow.
And very well, you know, I don't know how you'd even quantify which one was better, and that was a mouse in the left corner fadeaway with what we've seen from Alan Garner over the years.
3 play 0.
But certainly, Dave Chapman's on that list. I mean, how could he not be? I think he's invented a style that no one's even really using other than Tony Healy kind of in his prime. Very, very
4 play
impressed.
0.
Of course, with Alan Garner as well.
We've seen, Dave, guys jumping off to big leads. In the case of Emmett Peixote, he carried that big lead to a blowout win. Andy Nett had a pretty nice lead early in game number
5
early in the match and ended up losing. And Dave, this is as motivated as Alan Garner has been in probably 3 years since the World Championships in 2009 and also the US Open in 2010 where he won. Since then, Dave, he's gone through a little bit of a lull. One of those situations where he's not that into handball. He's going to school, he's married, he's now going to be expecting a family, which is wonderful. I know his lovely wife, Erica, is watching right now. I want to say hello to her and wish that she could be here, but I think we'll be seeing her in Houston in about 2.5 months. But you know, Dave, he's just so talented. And when you have that much talent, it's only a matter of time before you get remotivated and recharged to come back and try and take over the sport.
2 plays 5.
And I think, Dave, this could be a really interesting year with so many guys motivated, guys making comebacks, guys resurging. Luis Moreno and Sean Lenning going to try and stay in the top 2 with guys like Alan Garner,
5
Emmett
plays 2.
Peixote, Charlie Shanks knocking on their heels. Nadi Alvarado seems like he's either taking a long break or he's just not going to play that many more events. He'll be a threat if he does show up, but we're not going to see him at every stop. And of course,
6
maybe
plays
got some
2.
of the younger guys like John Iglesias.
There's no doubt in my mind that if Alan Garner wanted to, he would be right there with Luis and Paul Brady, the 2 best players, just like Sean Linney would be.
Well, I've felt, Dave, having played all these guys.
Alan, I am going to call a screen on that. He didn't see it at first, and then he had to stop and replay it, so I'm going to call a screen
Alan
on
Garner,
that.
Dave,
Okay.
when he's on and
6
when he's right,
plays 2.
has the best opportunity of anybody in the world to beat Paul Brady. I know that's sacrilegious here in Luis Moreno country, but
Well, wouldn't you say the same was true for Sean Linney?
7
who
plays 2.
could have maybe have had
Short
better
ball.
conditioning
Second
just a
serve.
couple weeks ago.
well, that was a very strange match. Sean and Paul really not playing, I don't think, anywhere near their best, but it provided some amazing drama.
8 plays 2.
And Dave, you have to wonder about Luis Moreno's state of mind. He's been so successful for the last year. He won 5 out of 8 race stops. He's coming off a World Championship doubles win. Not a good showing at the US Open. Now he's looks a little bit complacent, maybe a little bit injured. He doesn't have much spark
9
at all in
plays
there
2.
right now.
Well, you said he didn't look good. He took 3rd there, Dave.
Well, you know, Luis Moreno has now raised the bar so high for his expectations that if he's
2
not
plays 9.
at least in the finals,
Okay. Sorry.
if he's not at least in the
2
finals,
plays
Dave, you have
9.
to look at the event as a disappointment. And I look at that event, particularly the
ball.
way he went out to Charlie Shanks with a 21-13, 21-4 loss.
Second
Very
serve.
un-Luis Moreno-like.
Boy, Luis hit that ball hard.
I'm not sure there are any safe shots against Alan Garner.
See what Luis does with this setup. And he goes bottom board and gets it, and the crowd loves it.
Point. 3 plays 9.
And Luis goes for the same shot there, but that time
It's head out.
Didn't bend his knees.
well, it looked to me like he was a little out of sync with his lower body and upper body.
9
Didn't
plays
push
3.
into that shot because he got onto his front foot too soon. Is that similar, Dave, to batting where you want to hang on your back foot and then transfer your weight as you're making contact, or do you want to get to your front foot?
10 plays 3.
Back foot pushing off,
Right.
keeping that ball center or wherever you
Short
decide
ball.
to hit it. Now, Dave Chapman would say it's a little bit more than center toward the front foot. But
Second
whatever
serve.
that case is, you need to be transferring your weight so you can get some power behind it. Luis just did not bend his knees, just kind of put it right in the ground with a stand-up style.
Well, I believe, Dave, when Luis gets a really slow back wall shot, he has a tendency to plant himself on his front foot, and he makes a lot of errors and hits a lot of shots that really he's not aiming for.
11 plays 3.
Well, this is clearly not the same Luis that we saw jump out to that lead against Paul Brady at the Worlds.
And if you're an Alan Garner fan, you have to like to hear Alan talking to himself when he's
3
winning
plays 11.
11-3. I mean, this is a guy, Dave, that expects perfection, and oftentimes he gets it. He's one of these players, Dave, that can literally play perfect handball.
11 plays 3.
Alan's one of these guys, Dave, that's self-effacing. He'll say, you know, I'm the slowest guy on the tour. I really don't make gets. And I don't know if
plays
he
11.
really gives himself enough credit. He does make gets, but he hits so many great shots that you're rarely stepping in and hitting kill shots against him. So he doesn't have to worry about making a lot of gets because he doesn't give you setups. You know, Dave, I've read on the message board recently. I think
What's
you
that
posed the
message
question. Yeah, it's on the WPH site,
Okay.
WPHlive.tv.
plays
You
11.
can get to a message board on there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And yourself, Dave, actually posed the question, the best, rating players, best back wall, best defense, best. and you said best offense, best defense. I saw one reply, the best defense is the best offense.
That was Chris Watkins.
He's a very bright guy, a very good player also, but that's really Alan Garner's strategy. He's got this amazing offense, and you're never on offense because he's always on offense.
Well, I would say that's kind of a Sean Lenny style as well.
There are a couple of guys, Dave, on that matches board that just really don't know anything about handball. I think there's a guy named Peanut Butter or Jelly or something like that.
7 plays 11 when we resume. Luis serves. 1 minute.
But that's the way social network sites are. People that don't know what they're talking about. Going back to that list, though, I don't know if you remember what they were. The best players, basically a poll, but sort of just testing the waters of who they felt, the people that were reading, of course, were the best players of all time in certain different aspects of the game. One of those aspects would be return of serve, for example. Now, that is a very important, in today's game, with this ball changing the way it's changed, the guys like Andy Nett, the Luis Morenos, the Sean Lenny's, the Paul Brady's, the Charlie Shanks, that have those real amazing serves. Who are the ones that are able to get that serve back best in today's game? And you could also talk about those from days gone by.
Well, I think Dave Chapman's the best returner I've ever seen, right alongside Vern Roberts, who's just absolutely amazing. I played Vern Roberts in 1995. Vern was probably in his early 40s, maybe late 30s. He'd already had some surgeries. He had control of the ball with his left fist like I've never seen.
7 plays
you couldn't
11.
have that much control if you caught the ball and ran to the middle of the court and threw it. I'd have to definitely put Vern Roberts in there. I feel like Sean Lenny, when he's really moving laterally well and he's healthy and motivated, has some of the most amazing punch fist returns that'll go straight down the wall, or he can even flat kill with a punch fist.
7 plays 11.
I also think, Dave, Alan Garner has a great return to serve. He doesn't seem to do anything special with it, but you never seem to have a good look at a first strike kill when you're playing against him.
What about a Fred Lewis, a Paul Haber, a Tony Healy?
Well, Tony Healy, I didn't have an opportunity to really see Fred or Paul Haber.
8 plays 11.
Only on a couple of videos. I haven't seen them enough to really give an opinion, but Tony Healy, Dave, one of those guys, absolutely amazing control with the left fist, could do anything with it. Punch it down the left wall, hit it to the roof, hit a 2-all pass with really tremendous shots.
Well, he certainly named most of the players as we're still in the middle of this one. Luis takes that ball, tracks it down.
Just to wrap that up, though, I believe it was also Waddy Dog that said John Kendler, who had amazing 2-all power V returns with both
11
hands.
plays 8.
And I remember watching Kendler, thinking that he was the best I'd ever seen. I know he didn't win any national championships, but he had that amazing wingspan where he could literally extend on balls that were a couple feet away from him and just crush balls deep front wall, side wall behind the server.
Score here, 12-8. Oh, and Luis coming in and cutting that ball. That's new from Luis. Well, that's a good find, having John Kindler name thrown in there. I also think we want this rally here. A little congestion, no call from the ref.
But Dave, during our next timeout, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the best get artists, because I think those make for some of the most exciting players for the fans. Guys that can extend rallies. Maybe we saw one of the best get artists in the last 20 years play earlier today. That's a teaser.
Well, I agree with what you're going to say, but
nice volley,
there was a great get right there from Alan Garner, who said he's not a get artist, but he actually extended, and you see that he has breakaway speed when he wants to do it. It's not part of his game.
13 plays 8.
But he broke away to the back wall and popped it to the front.
Well, you know, Dave, Alan's an amazing athlete. Alan played football and basketball in high school, and he's good at everything he does. I've seen him swing a golf club, Dave. He can hit a 4-iron about 240 yards, which in layman's terms would be like hitting a fastball
14 plays 8.
490 feet.
Well, that's new from Luis, stepping in. I didn't see Luis. You still can't do it after you hit it. Referee still had that wrong, although
8 plays 14.
He did not go over the line on his strike.
And this is the problem we've seen, Dave, with every player today that's tried to serve behind themselves. It's impossible to keep the ball off that revolving door. And once it hits the revolving door against these top players, you've lost the rally 95% of the time.
Oh, there you go. Alan had Luis coming in. That's It's proof, though, that Luis has changed that
15,
philosophy.
timeout, halftime, 3 minutes.
And then we have the halftime. Now, you were talking about that discussion
Luis
as Alan Garner goes into
well,
halftime.
Actually, Alan will serve 15, plays 8 when we resume.
As we have the announcement there from the referee, 15-8 here at half. But what was the question that you asked as we continue the discussion about the best all time? The get artist?
Well, you actually asked it. I'm just repeating it on the message board. One of the categories was best get artist.
Okay. I'm going to name the ones that I think are the best.
Okay.
We can get to the actual specifics. I hear rumors, didn't get to see it myself. Lou Russo,
Okay.
from back in the 70s, 80s. Yeah. You would, I almost have to feel that like a Nadia Alvarado was probably a get artist, but you know, I don't remember it as much, and I kind of feel bad that I don't put his name in the list. But Dave Chapman has to be on that list as a retriever. I think there's some underground kind of bubbling under type guys like Robbie McCarthy, who might be one of the best get artists I've ever seen. Michael Gregan, who keeps a game alive. These are the type of artists that are tracking balls down and keeping them alive. I've seen Sean Lenning in clapdown mode, and as well as Luis Moreno, where I think that those are kind of gets in a way because they're not letting you get to the front court because they're cutting everything off. Tony Healy, there was a time when Tony was a get artist. I think there was a time when possibly Danny Bell was maybe on that list. I think Dan the Hand Armijo gets that sort of novelty inclusion on that get artist just because we've seen him make some ridiculous gets that keep the rally going. So
and I know, Dave, you saw Dan Armijo about 17 years ago, 1995, in the early 90s. It really seemed like there was no ball he couldn't get. I mean, he was just like an acrobat.
They call him the Hand because of his get artistry, but I think the one that leads the way for me personally, and I maybe watched too much of his games, is Emmett Pichot. I don't know, you know, there's certainly a bunch I'm leaving off, but I've seen Dave Chapman get balls front, back, side to side in multiple rallies, and that was the one thing I really thought that Dave Chapman didn't get credit for was his get ability. You know, as being a big guy, even as a big guy, his get ability was so great because of his anticipation.
Well, a guy like Emmett, you almost expect it because he's so fit and he's so quick. But when you're playing against Dave Chapman, no matter how many balls he gets to, you still can't believe that he's getting to him just because of the way he looks. I mean, he's not all that fit looking. He actually is fit, but you know, to look at him, he doesn't look fit. But he literally tracks down everything, and he doesn't just track him down, but he flicks these shots in the corners and ends rallies with them, you know, from a diving position.
1 minute.
I also believe that John Bike was on that list for quite some time. He was an amazing athlete and retriever.
I think you can put any guy that has been in the top 3 as one of the best get artists in the game, because without the speed, you're really never going to get into that upper echelon.
Alan Garner's been in the top 3, and I don't see him as being one of those guys on that list.
I think might be the only exception.
There's guys that are top players like a Tony Healy or a Dave Chapman that you put on those lists, but then there's those other guys that I think that should be on the list, like a Dan Armijo and the Michael Gregans and the Robbie McCarthy. I think Robbie McCarthy might be one of the best I've ever seen in my entire life.
What about a guy like John Iglesias, who seems to get to everything in the front court? I don't know if you've seen enough of him, but just having played him, it just seems like there's no ball he can't get to.
John who again?
All right, play resumes.
I also believe that Luis Moreno is one of the top right now in today's game. When he's in shape, I've seen him track balls down front to back.
15 plays 8.
About as good as anybody. He has really quick breakaway speed. Sean Lenning in a different way. He's a get artist that makes just unbelievable gets, but also a name that we're forgetting here, and I believe that he is
16 plays 8.
starting to shake this sort of, the sort of title that has been given to him. But Andy Nett is really a get artist, but he's now shaking it because he's become such a great server that you forget that he's that guy.
Well, Dave, I was hoping you'd wrap up the get artist conversation after halftime, but while you were still
17
discussing
plays 8.
the get artist, it's Alan Garner scoring 2 points quickly after halftime. Luis does not seem to have the breakaway speed, but when you play Alan Garner, breakaway speed doesn't really matter because he puts the ball down flat.
I got one.
Of course that ball broke.
Frustrating for Alan there, who won that point, but doesn't get credit for it as the ball broke.
Well, these cement courts, this new ball, and these two players, two of the hardest hitters in the game. I believe that's also another question that we would be asking, Dave, is who's the hardest hitters?
Or Alan gets it.
And Luis is really taking his time here, allowing play to continue. But Dave, it's, to us, maybe not so shocking, but to somebody that follows pro handball on more of a casual level, to see Luis Moreno, the #1 player, getting blown out here, and then Charlie Shanks, who's been in the finals of 3 of the last 4 majors, get blown out here in the round of 8. I mean, you almost shake your head. What's going on here?
Second serve.
Well, Charlie Shanks not playing any handball due to Hurricane Sandy.
Right.
Living in the Jersey Shore area. All the clubs that he would normally play at there locally in New Jersey all underwater, so
8 plays 17.
it's not the type of situation when you have no power in your own house and you're sleeping
9
with
plays 17.
cold temperatures to even go out and do any type
Short
of
ball.
workout regimen. But he already made plans for this trip, and he's also committed to
Second
making all the
serve.
stops. So he had to do what he had to do. Luis Moreno hurt himself at the World Championships with his left hip and carried through to the U.S. Open. Also did not get on the court and play, and that kind of proves
10
that
plays 17.
you see a guy like Alan Garner trying to, work out and get ready for this tournament.
Well, the World Championships was a great experience for those that went, but Alan Garner actually is the guy that benefited the most going into the race season, not having gone. He doesn't have the jet lag. He
11
was able to
plays
train
17.
on his own. He looked great at the U.S. Open. I thought he could have won that event. Now, I believe he'll be the favorite to win here.
Well, it's not over yet. I think when Luis plays against Alan Garner, he gets to see somebody that everybody else sees when they play Luis.
17 plays 11.
Incredible kill shots, incredible power, a little wrinkle sometimes, a smooth left hand, and someone who's
18 plays
very
11.
strong, 18 to 11. Scoreboard is incorrect. It's 18 to 11. Another one of those questions, Dave, that we're asking about the best is the most clutch under pressure.
19 plays 11.
I know that Paul Brady's name has now been thrown out there. He used to be a guy that never had any pressure, so how would you know what kind of clutch? But now it seems like there's a little track record here.
Well, Paul Brady has won a lot of close matches, including the 2008 National Final against Tony Healy, 11-8. Sean Lenning, 11-10 in 2007.
Nadia Alvarado, 2006 Nationals, Los Cab, tiebreaker.
Alan Garner, World Championships 2009, 11-7 tiebreaker. Recently, Sean Lenning, 11-9 tiebreaker a couple weeks ago at the U.S. Open.
And then what he did with Luis when Luis was up big, even though that's not sort of the same conversation, but in a lot of ways it was with that crowd.
Well, that first game proved to be the match there.
I still believe that Dave Chapman's up there on the list as well, maybe even #1.
Second serve.
He was able to do it so many ways, mentally. I should have put on there who's least most clutch. Well, guys like Dave Fink. Well, I don't know if there's anybody else.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that laser with the left hand. You can even hear the crowd chirping out here. Did you see that laser, Dave? That was unbelievable.
Absolutely amazing.
You can hear it too.
Well, Alan Garner is one of those
20 plays 11.
One of those players, Dave, where you know he's playing the second you walk into the building. And I mean, Dave, the buildings here are actually separated. When you walk in the front door, you know that Alan Garner's on the court just by the sound. I can remember, Dave, one of the few times I wasn't in the booth, walking into Los Cab in 2009, I was getting a towel about 50 yards from the court, and I knew Alan Garner was playing. The sound traveled over the pool through 2 concrete buildings.
11 plays 20.
And I'm actually not joking here. I mean, that's what, you don't understand. That's unfortunate.
Well, I didn't think you were ever funny, so I wouldn't assume you were joking.
Okay. But you can joke and not be funny.
I guess.
Yeah.
Allen thought that was a screen.
And Dave, it's incredible seeing these players getting upset with such big leads because they know a guy like Luis Moreno can cut this deficit quickly.
Well, I agree with Allen. Luis jumped right in front of him. That
And
ball double bounces the back wall.
Well, that's the first double bounce I've seen on a player serving behind himself.
20.
Luis apparently found something there that no other player has been able to find.
And well, with this ball, you have to take one extra step toward the right wall and then try to hit your butt or just lower than your shorts if you want to double bounce the back wall. You guys are hitting behind yourself, but you're putting 3 to 4 feet of space. You need to bring it down to about 18 inches because that ball is going to hop over because you have the angle already. But you have to take one step over.
14.
Luis has good control, but you see if he messes up just a little bit when he goes behind himself, it's going to check up.
Hold on, I'm going to do it over again.
And that was not a good call there.
That's a makeup
right
call, but
no, he
after
wasn't.
Luis scored 3 points.
14-20.
You know, Dave, a lot of times when you see a guy complaining about the draw, it doesn't really bode well for his chances. And, you know, we know Luis Moreno was not happy with the draw.
When we resume.
Alan Garner also was unhappy with the draw, but he kind of turned it into a positive where Luis Moreno seemed to kind of dwell on it negatively rather than looking at it as an opportunity.
Well, Dave, you know, we've both been in the position before. Would you rather play the horse in the tournament in the round of 8 or in the finals? Well, you know, maybe as you get older, you sometimes wish that you get them earlier than later because you also want to be fresh.
Well, I like to make money, so I would like rather.
Not part of the equation.
Oh, it is though.
No,
I mean,
it
this
isn't.
is a pro
let's say
event.
this is the state championship
Oh,
in
the States.
Pennsylvania. You're going up against your arch rival. Would you rather have him
I'd actually
in the
like to
quarters
play him
or
early and get home. I could get home on the same day, which is nice.
Well,
you know,
okay.
you drive up that morning and you're home by after you get dinner at home.
Right.
If you don't play the horse until the finals, you have to spend the night at the hotel, and it just becomes a hassle that you don't really need.
Okay. Still wasn't the direction I was going, but I actually sympathize.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
So it actually saves you money at a state championship to play the horse
resumes.
early.
We have 15 plays 20.
Wow. When is this ball going to break?
And right now, Dave, it looks like we've got 2 thoroughbreds in full stride right now. Rounding turn 3.
And
As Luis Moreno now really stepping up his game. Very similar to Sean Lenning. Sean Lenning never trailed by 9, but right at this stage in the match is where Sean Lenning turned it up.
16 plays 20.
I believe Allen has enough firepower playing the way he is to close out this match.
Screen ball.
That was a very good call, Dave.
Do it over. 16 plays 20.
Wow. That's a laser from Luis.
Hold on. It was up.
And Luis seemed to take a lot off of that shot. That's a huge setup that gets him within 3 of Alan Garner, and he just sort of lackadaisically, Dave,
16 plays 20.
half swung at a huge back wall setup. How do you explain that?
I think he thought that Allen was so much further off to his left that he was just not going to hit it too hard to make it come off the back wall. He wanted to take a little off and let it slide that wall. Instead, it checked
17
up.
plays 20.
Like you said, if you hit that ball too hard, it's going to come off the back wall. These guys are having to literally hit 4-inch high pass shots now.
Oh, just beautiful shot making from Luis, and that's a shot, Dave, that he used to go to in junk time that never seemed to work, and now he pulls it off in clutch situations.
18 plays
And Dave,
20.
I believe Luis Moreno is one of the most clutch players in the sport. I've seen him win so many 11-9, 11-10 tiebreakers. It just seems like when it gets close, Luis finds a way to win.
Oh, and Allen floors it. He was kind of held up a little bit, but the referee let him play through it. Allen wanted it. He went for it, hit it in the ground, and look at the score here now.
19 plays 20.
Alan Garner was someone else and he blew a 9-point lead. You'd put him on the list of least clutch, but I know that Alan Garner is bigger than you and he gets information about what you're saying, so you like to be very cautious about things like that.
I don't say negative things about Allen Garner.
20 plays 19.
Allen had a nice 9-point lead. Now it's only a 1-point lead here.
Second serve.
Was Tani Severa a clutch player?
Oh, and Alan Garner with a mouse in the right corner. Dave, I think we're going to need an exterminator here. At least a couple of mouse traps. I mean, we can't have this kind of
21 plays 19.
infestation in the court.
21-19, goes for the crack, gets it. Wow, right down to that corner, dug out though from Luis Moreno.
Well, that was a great get from Luis. And another very good get and a great shot on the move.
The way Allen's able to flip that ball to a 2-wall wraparound, 3-wall wrap is just really unbelievable. And Luis just running out of time here as Allen now scoring his 22nd point. Luis now getting some time, 22-19 with a 60-second break here in Tucson, Arizona. This is the R48 Pro stop number 2, where Garner is now getting a couple points. First one to 25. If you win by 2, will get a chance to play Emmett Peixote tomorrow in the semifinals. Now, Emmett had a great tournament so far, beating Victor Perez and taking down Charlie Shanks in the round of 8.
Well, Dave, remember,
I don't know how that's going to, you know, how the rankings are going to be, because I believe that Emmett is going to get a lot of points because he didn't play in
He's not defending any points from this event, so he'll pick up at least 6 points from this event. He will move well inside that top 8, so he will be an invited player. I foresee for the rest of the season, he'll be invited and he'll be picking up points. But Dave, last year Emmett played in 4 stops, only made the round of 8 one time. And now here he is already in the semifinals. That's a huge jump to go from losing in the round of 16 to now still alive in the semifinals. And he's got a very good chance to win this event, Dave, particularly with these 2 horses wearing each other down right now. And remember, Dave, Emmett won his 2 matches today, 25-9, 25-10. So he's got a lot left in the tank.
Look at that shot from Alan Garner, just a little flip up there as Luis Moreno tried to hit it with some power at the last second, and Alan Garner is able to paddle it up front.
23-19.
That was a tremendous return and just a terrible serve from Alan Garner. Is that just a lack of concentration there, Dave?
Well, I think Luis told him early that you weren't going to do that underhand lob serve to me. So Alan's kind of taken out of his philosophy. That looked like it could have been 2 bounces. Alan flipped it to the roof, though.
I don't know how Alan digs that out. That's just strong hands.
That was a terrible shot from Luis.
Really, really bad.
As always, this is the type of match you see when these guys play.
I love every second of it. Absolutely amazing to watch. Oh, that's the best shot, Dave, we've seen from Luis Moreno since he took that 13-2 lead on Paul Brady. That was just an amazing, fluid, beautiful stroke.
23.
Why doesn't he do that every time, Dave? He looks so easy. And remember, Luis is only back in the server's box because Alan hit that terrible serve at 23-19.
I like how both of these guys going up to the roof here. And that ball hits the bad bounce and gets the side out. That's an unfortunate bad bounce here.
And that was actually, would have been a good ceiling shot that pinned Allen in the back corner.
23 plays 20.
But you see no complaining with the referee from the players. Not that that makes it any better.
Short.
It's just an unfortunate thing.
Second serve.
Not another bad serve from Allen. It's very hard, Dave, to hit good second serves against these top flight players because you want to take a chance, but you also don't want to double fault.
What about that overhand lob serve that Allen has? He hasn't even tried that here yet.
Short ball.
That would be certainly
Second serve.
a lot better than what he just gave Luis.
And that was a great second serve.
And now 21-23.
And Dave, who do you favor at this point in the match? The server at 21-23 or the guy that's just 2 points from winning this match? Well, I know who you'll favor now, that Alan Garner's in the box.
Bounces. Thank you.
That was a great
I really
shot
didn't know
from
how to
Allen.
answer it. I had to think about that. Here,
23 plays 21.
though, Allen 2 points away.
Short ball.
Good call.
I saw it short.
I did too.
You saw it short. You saw it short.
So that's
They both
4-0 with you, Dave.
Well, I'm never wrong, so.
Second serve.
And that was an excellent second serve. But Luis got it just into that uncomfortable range where you can't shoot it and you can't really do anything aggressive with it. And you can hear Fred Lewis now, Dave, telling Luis to just hit the ball. Luis has gone into this patty cake mode when he's had a number of chances, Dave, to drive the ball, and instead he just soft paddles these shots in the front court. That rally could have cost him this match.
Possible match point, plays 21.
Can't believe that Luis was paddling up there, but here we are going for the match, and he got it. Alan Garner takes down once again Luis Moreno. What is that lifetime now for Alan Garner? About 13-2, 13-3?
Actually, 11-2 for Alan Garner. If you count that Alaska exhibition, Dave, as a win for Luis Moreno, and I don't know if you do, that was an exhibition event. Does that count towards their overall rankings?
I would say it does.
Okay,
yeah.
so if it does count, then he's 11-2.
It seems like we've been at 11 for about 2 years now, and I've seen a lot of wins on the part of Alan, but you know,
Alan only beat him one time last year. They only played twice.
So Garner, I'm putting his name here on the scoreboard, 25-21. He will now face Emmett Peixote tomorrow at 11 o'clock Mountain Time, which will be 10 o'clock Pacific Time over the live broadcast engine that we have set up for you here at racefor8.com, which will be an interesting match tomorrow. Now, that's the first one to kick off the semifinals. That'll be a format of best 2 out of 3 to 15 tiebreaker will be played 11, Dave. And then at 12, it's going to be you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know, if you've met you before. I don't know if you've met the you that goes onto the court.
So what you're saying, I'm going to be playing on Saturday in a non-playoff match?
Yeah, I know this is a non-25 point match.
That's not even right.
That'll be you. I'd like to introduce you to you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you saw the you
well,
that
I can
played
actually
earlier.
see myself. So that guy that's on the screen,
yeah, right now,
kind of ugly, is going to be playing in the semifinals of a pro event?
Yeah.
There's something wrong here.
That'll be up against Sean Lenning, the freak of nature, at 12 o'clock. That'll be Pacific time here in the Mountain Time Zone, and then, of course, 11 o'clock Pacific. Then after that, we have a lot of other matches that are scheduled, but instead of talking about the big ball and all that other things, all the other things that are going on there, 7 o'clock will be the men's final, and that's certainly going to be a hoot. As they say, you thought the crowd was loud here at the Tucson Racket Club today. It's going to be certainly energized, and I know they'll be beating on the back glass, especially if you do make the finals. Now, you have played Sean Lenning before. You defeated him in New York, where you did eventually win the championship there at the NYAC by defeating Dave Chapman. What did you have to do to defeat Sean Lenning, and was that one of your best wins at that point?
Well, I'd say that I was pretty much in the zone in those matches against Sean and Dave. I don't think I've ever played that well before or since. Everything just seemed to come easily to me. I was stroking the ball off the back wall with my right hand and hitting it down the right wall. I was serving extremely well, and I was being aggressive. And, you know, Sean made an amazing comeback against me in the second game, and he took a 7-3 lead in the tiebreaker, and I still don't know how I was able to come back in that match, but it was one of my best wins. And then to follow it up the next day, I'm going to need to play at least that well tomorrow, because I know Sean Lenning, Dave, is just working his way into his groove in this event. He's played 2 matches. He, like most of us, hasn't played a lot of handball since the U.S. Open, just trying to rest and recover. But with each match, he's going to play better, and I'll need to also play better if I want to be competitive and have a chance to take him down tomorrow.
Now we look at Emmett Peixote. He certainly was up against somebody who has about as good as power you're going to face in this tournament, and Charlie Shanks. He took him down in a 1-game match to 25, and it was an unbelievable display, defeating Charlie Shanks today, 25-10. This is the same Emmett Peixote we saw 2 weeks ago in Fountain Valley, which looked miles below where he's at now today. He looks like that same Emmett Peixote at times that we saw at the Showdown in Seattle 2008. Here he's going to go up against Alan Garner, who's got that same type of Charlie Shanks power. They match up fairly well. Emmett in the old days, used to have the record against Allen, I believe.
Alan Garner was never even close to beating Emmett Peugeot up until about 2009, where he finally started to break through, and a lot of that had to do with the decline of Emmett's game, but Emmett's speed always bothered Allen. Emmett was able to keep a lot of those rallies alive against Allen, and Emmett always looked comfortable against Allen. In fact, in the Boston Open, Dave, which Emmett won in 2009, just crushed Alan Garner, 21-10, 21-4. Also went on to beat him for 5th place at the U.S. Open that same year, beat him 21-0 in the first game. But since then, the rivalry has shifted, and in fact, Alan Garner beating Emmett badly in the 5th place playoff at the U.S. Open. But of course, that was a different Emmett Peugeot. I told Emmett, you know, that was the worst I've ever seen you play at that event. He didn't talk to me and hasn't talked to me and still won't talk to me because I told him that, but I felt like I was doing a job, a responsibility. And apparently it motivated him, Dave, because he's here and he's a completely different person at this event.
Well, maybe you're the key to the success of Emmett Peugeot.
We're going to take. You're going into that voice as though we're wrapping it up.
We are wrapping it up.
I feel like we're doing so well right now.
Well,
yeah,
we are going to wrap it up.
Want to go out on a high? Is that
okay.
what you're saying?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
A crescendo. It's time for us to say goodbye. It's been a great night. We'll have more action starting tomorrow early. Thank you for tuning in to the live broadcast here at race48.com. Linda Manning, the director, thank you very much for your work, as well as Ben Garad, Anthony Celesto, and broadcast partner here, Dave Fink. We're going to wrap it up for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. Go to WPHlive.tv to find the full schedule after clicking the Watch Now tab, and you'll find out who the matchups will be and also the broadcast schedule. For tonight, thanks for tuning in, and have a good one.
My name is Bruce Fabrizio. In 1975, I invented Simple Green based on 3 principles. It had to be safer to use, it had to work, and it had to be completely made in America. From generation to generation, Simple Green has been cleaning everything from car engines and tools to kitchen counters and floors. No matter what you clean, indoors or outdoors, clean it with non-toxic, biodegradable Simple Green.
Here we go. We're gonna make some juice.
It's gonna be good.
She's excited. A little bit of kale.
Please don't put this on
I'm putting it all over the line.
It's wet. It needs something. No, it'll go.
Don't break my juicer. Looks good.
You ready to try it?
Come on, baby.
Challenge your kids to be active and eat healthy.
It's okay.
Okay, all right.
They might surprise you.
She took another sip. You saw it?
Search We Can for more ideas on how you and your kids can get healthy together.
So, what's it gonna be? We could ride bikes, skating, movies, zoo, whatever you guys want to do.
Can we just do this?
Yeah. We could just do this.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
At shelters, you'll discover healthy and loving animals just waiting to become a part of your family. Why wait? You can make a difference in the life of an animal. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person and adopt your new best friend today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Working and working out takes a lot of energy. That's why I drink Zenergy. Feeling fantastic and looking good has never been easier. Science, extreme science for your active lifestyle.